What's going on, guys? It's Joe with Indo Daily, and today we're going to take a look at how my EDC has changed over the years. So, I am now into my second job in the Air Force. My previous and my first job was air transportation, working logistics on the flight line, loading planes, aircraft support, different things like that. So, that's what we've got set up over here. And now that I am into Air Force recruiting, this is my new updated office carry. And a lot of these items have been featured on previous videos, but I'm just going to kind of break down each one, similarities, differences, pros, cons, all that good stuff. So, starting over here with my Flightline carry, some of these are not the exact items that I used, but still, like the gloves, for instance, these were not the work gloves that I had on the Flightline. Those are long gone. It's been 5 years since I've worked in that career field. Typically, they were the mechanics brand work gloves with the OCP pattern and like the rubber knuckles on them. I love those gloves. I'd go through a pair every other month. And the watch is also different. So if you've seen any of my previous videos, this is a newer watch. The one I was wearing at the time was a Samsung Galaxy watch when that first came out. That was the one I typically wore the most. But outside of that, gloves, hearing protection is the same. This is actually the carabiner I used when I carried both these, the hearing protection and my gloves. Threw them on the same carabiner, threw them on my pants, good to go. And these I really like. These were issued to me when I was still working on the flight line. They're like the noise canceling, so that way we could be out there on the flight line. You know, even engines running on an aircraft with the microphones that they've got, it would drown out the high frequency of the aircraft and the engine running, but we could still have conversations right next to each other because it would pick up our conversations. So those are really nice to have, especially like I said, when we're out there, engines running for for mission or uploading cargo. These were super nice to have to be able to still have that conversation and communicate with my coworkers. Uh, Sunglasses, sun/safety glasses were always a must. So really, these three: hearing protection, gloves, and glasses were a mandatory, like a required safety items. For anybody that's worked jobs like that, you'll understand like this is just stuff that you get caught without this, you're done. Like you're getting written up. Safety's out there. They're all on you. But then the knife that I carried was my Benchmade Barrage. I did a video on this one as well. This was my very first like good, solid, tough use knife. Bought that one at my first base in California, and then I also carried a multi tool. So this one I actually bought myself. This is the Gerber MP600, but with the OTF pliers. I bought this one myself because I thought the OTF style was cool, and just wanted something different. I've been issued the Leatherman Wave Plus and the Leatherman Signal, and honestly, nowadays I would prefer either one of those two over these because the more I thought about it, the more I use these. I only use them for the pliers because to get any of the other tools, you got to take the pliers out, open it up, and then grab the tool that you want. This just wasn't really practical. Again, I would still carry these just for the pliers of it, but at that point, I've got enough other multi tools that I just grab one of those. So I currently carry my Leatherman Wave Plus on my belt in my uniform. Didn't bring that one out here just because I still use it, but I've already got one multi tool out here, so that could be over in this pile as well. And then let's see. I think that's about it for this one. And then 5 years ago, when I got picked up to do the recruiting gig, my EDC changed quite a bit. So as you can tell, clear differences over here. These are the two watches I still wear the most to this day. But I've got a lighter, less bulky knife. I've got my Benchmade Bug Out. That one I've carried quite a bit, as well as my Wee Knives Mini Malice. I will go on and on about that knife, but not for this video. But knife changed up quite a bit as my taste and my preferences changed for EDC. That's where the knife kind of got updated and swapped out. One thing I did notice though, out here that I don't have in the Flightline pile, but I got in my office carry pile is a flashlight. And I think the reason for that is in this time frame of my career where I was working on the Flightline, I was not as big into the EDC community. Like I didn't even know the term EDC and what that meant. I was just carrying the gear that I used. So I had my EDC, I just didn't know it was my EDC, if that makes sense. So I had the gear that I used and I carried and was necessary, and also, um, came in handy for the job that I was doing. And then as the years progressed, I think my involvement into the EDC community and realizing what that term meant, and all the different things that you can carry and all the tools and gear that you can use kind of developed through COVID. Not working as much, had a lot more time to get on the internet and check things out. My knife collection grew quite a bit, so the knife can always swap in and out. Um, as well as the watch. But the flashlight was one thing I noticed that I never carried whenever I was working on the Flightline. Didn't always need it either. Worked a couple of support missions at night, but the Flightline was lit up well enough that I didn't always need one. Or if I did, I used my phone flashlight, which I realize now is complete trash. So that's the big differences. Again, the similarities would be the knife and the watch. And then I guess the multi tool as well. And something I almost forgot would be a pin. So that is also another similarity. Whereas before on this side, I always carried just a regular G2 pin, because all I've heard throughout my entire career is every good airman has a pin. The only difference between the pin was this was the full size, and then once I discovered the G2 minis, completely swapped to those because they're a lot more. I mean, it's not a huge difference, obviously, but I definitely prefer carrying the G2 Mini, especially for my EDC pouch. And if you want to see the video on what I carry in this, I will post the link for that video in here as well. But some differences, some similarities, but overall, like I said, watch and knife and multi-tool are the biggest things. I would say now, unfortunately, in the job I'm in, my knife probably gets used the least, which sucks unless you consider fidgeting and flipping it open and closed all day. There's just not that much going on that requires me to have a knife, so that's where I can get a little more, have a little bit more. What's the word I'm looking for? Just options, really, so I can carry a different knife every day. Um, Mainly, it's just opening packages. I work in a training and marketing office now, so I'm on the road a lot. I travel a lot, doing training out in all our different offices, and then cutting open boxes for all the marketing stuff that we get in. I do use my multi tool quite a bit, I would say. Like I said, the Leatherman Wave Plus is the one I carry now, just because all the assets that we work with, it's good to always have a pair of pliers and another tool on there just in case. So that's about it. The only other thing I'll add in here is, and again, I've done recent videos on this knife. I do occasionally, not even occasionally, mostly recently, because this is a newer knife and setup, I will carry this as well, because I love carrying a fixed blade. Once I kind of got into EDC style fixed blades, smaller fixed blades, I started carrying one. Even in my office job, I'll carry this, and swap it out with my folder or my other pocket knife. But that's really about it. Those are the biggest differences and similarities. So I would love to hear from you guys. If you've gone through something similar of a big career change, job change, post some comments or pictures down below and let me know, what you guys like about this or the comparison, what you don't like. Let me see what you all got. And, I would love to see some gear that you guys carry in your jobs, and just to kind of see what everybody carries and what their use is and what their purpose is. Cause that's really the biggest thing with EDCs. Carry what you use. I went through a phase for a little bit, kind of getting more into the EDC community back through COVID and stuff, where I loved the brass and leather look, and I was carrying a little leather slip with a brass Fisher Space pin, my bug out with brass scales, and I had a brass O light, and like I loved that look. And yes, I used those things, but I realized I was starting to carry some more stuff that I saw on all the EDC pages and videos and things like that, that it was just pocket candy. Like, it was stuff I wasn't using. And I think I've kind of realized that more recently, and made me think, like, why am I carrying this? I'm not pulling out a coin. Even in the military, when, we give each other challenge coins, different things like that, I'm not really pulling out a flashy coin or anything like that. And some other smaller stuff. And I'm going to do a video on, personally, just for me, useless EDC items, but that'll be later on. So again, This is the comparison, the setup of Flightline versus Office. So let me know what y'all think. Again, post some pictures and comments down below. Let me see what y'all carry for your work. And if you like what you see, like, subscribe to the channel, like the video. I'm going to be putting out, some full videos like this at least once a week for the next month. I've got a whole video plan laid out of what I want to do. So I'm starting it off with the job comparison. So hopefully you guys like this, saw some cool things. Let me know what you like, what you didn't like. And that is all I've got for you today. So thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next one.